Unless you're 3 dimensions away from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem crossover Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I'm your host 3D Jake, and today we're looking at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, released in 2023. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem is directed by Jeff Rowe and is written by Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg, Jeff Rowe himself, Benji Smith-Semet, Dan Hernandez, and Brandon O'Brien. The movie stars Makai Abbey, Shannon Brown Jr., Nicholas Canta, Brandon Noon, Aya Elder, with Ice Cube, and Jackie Chan. The movie is essentially a reboot of the Ninja Turtles mythology, and so essentially this is like a reboot from Seth Rogen, who is, a big famous comedic actor who has also adapted lots of famous comic book stuff in the past, such as Preacher, The Boys, Invincible, and now this. And so he really has not missed yet. And I think it's really great that Seth Rogen has yet to really miss, because I was thinking, this is going to be his first miss, because I was like, it's really hard to get this franchise right. Michael Bay didn't even get it right. And so it's like, this is a really hard franchise to get right. And so it's like, I think the 1990s film is still my favorite, and I think that got it right the best. But I think this one really did do a good job. And I'm like, this is a really good film, starting where it just starts out. I mean, the trailers did not win me over, so when I first saw the trailer, I was like, I'm not sold on this movie. So then I waited. I didn't see it in theaters. I waited until it came out on rental, and I was like, you know what? I'll rent it. Worst case scenario, it's not great, but I still got the 90s film. I was like, you know what? So I was like, and I did like the 2016 version, so I thought that was the second best. So I was like, you know what? I'll watch it. So I watched it in the first 5 minutes. I was like, all right, I'm ready for this movie. And then, as soon as I got to, Ice Cube is Superfly, I'm like, all right, this is awesome. And so this movie is really good. I really enjoyed this movie. I think this is my second favorite Ninja Turtles movie now of all time. Once again, Seth Rogen does not miss. And it just shows you that, really, he's just doing such a good job with Invincible, The Boys, Preacher, and now this. I mean, this is just shows you that he actually nails what he adapts. I mean, this is just so good. I mean, the beginning with TCRI, I really like that, where there's a team that's on their way to stop Baxter Stockman, who's created this mutants, his mutated Superfly, and turn a fly into Superfly, and I thought that was well done and everything, and I thought that was just unique, and that, to me, I was like, all right, this is really good. I mean, I thought it would have made more sense, though, if he would have turned into Superfly, but I understand this is about adapting mutants, and it's mutant mayhem, so I think it wouldn't have made it essentially as good if he would have became Fly, because these are basically creatures that are turned into basically human, basically beings in a way. These are becoming beings. And so I think if you turn a human into an animal, then essentially, or an insect, it doesn't become as great, But I understand. I did like it at the beginning with Baxter Stockman's death and the creation of Superfly and the Turtles. I liked that. I thought that was really great. I mean, it shows that there is this Oscorp-ish from Spider-Man-ish feel to it, where TCRI is this giant feel that's over the franchise now, kind of like how Oscorp was over the Amazing Spider-Man franchise, how it's involved with the creation of these creatures. This essentially is with TCRI. These are basically will be the big villains, and obviously if you know, who Ultron is, you know who really she is in real life. And I think it's great. I can't wait to see what, hopefully the second one she becomes. Or I think they're going to do Shredder in 2, and then I think 3 they'll probably introduce Krang. But I think, they could just do Krang in 2. I do like that the Turtles are wanting to be normal. I think that's really great that Turtles are like, hey, we want to be normal now and everything. We're not, the idea is they want to go watch the movies and watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and their dad doesn't want them to, which is Splinter. He's like, he's afraid that they'll get milked, and so he's essentially like, don't go, and essentially, he's like, he had a bad experience when he was in Times Square, and Mr. Beast basically, tried to take his face off, and everybody, it was really funny. I thought that was really great, and I think this also, what I really liked is that this Turtle being the Turtles' first fight. They have never experienced combat. They just train from watching ninja videos. So I like that this is their first fight into this big battle, and that they're ready to go out there and train, become ninjas, essentially. And they're wanting to be normal, just go to high school and everything. And I think that's really great. April, when it comes to the movie, I know there was a lot of controversy about her design, but I didn't have a problem with her design, because I thought, obviously, as a fat person, do I really want to watch someone else's fat? I'm like, I really don't care if they're fat or not. It is great to, when I first seen her character, I actually like it. I actually think it is great to see someone else as April O'Neil. That's like, because usually when she's been, really attractive over the years, to where basically they make her like eye candy, especially in the Michael Bay films, versus where they actually make her a really good character that they focus on. Like, she's cute, but she's not overly cute. I think like the '90s film did it best, where like she's cute, but she's not overly cute. Where it feels like the rest of the series, they just try to make her eye candy. And I like that they kind of got her, like, they made her like focus on, we're not gonna make her eye candy, we're gonna make her a real person. I like that real aspect of it. And also, April, there were some funny moments. Like, there was a scene where she's just puking, reading the news, and she pukes all over the news. There's just green vomit going everywhere. It just reminded me of Rick and Morty. It was so funny. And, and I also like, April's line, like, there's a cockroach surfing on a turd. That just made me laugh. I was like, this is actually a pretty funny movie. And the Turtles fighting thugs montage was really great, too. And Splitter getting a cardboard cutout of all the Chris's, like Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans, Chris Pratt, And Ice Cube also is really good in this movie as Superfly. Like, he plays a good villain. Like, he's like, just trying to turn all the humans into mutants. And I thought that was really clever. I mean, it does really remind me, this movie does remind me of Amazing Spider-Man 1. Essentially, Ice Cube is the lizard, essentially. And he's trying to turn all the people into lizard, except Ice Cube's trying to turn everybody into mutants. And I like that. I like that this movie has its footing and knows where its place is. And I do like, the final fight with Superfly when he becomes, like, they shoot, like he falls into the vat of, like, mutagen and becomes a giant, fly, and then they have to destroy him. Like, they shoot like a little gun at him, and it just hits the stomach, and then that's it. I thought that was really clever. And I like, and also, like, I just thought that was really great, too, and everything. And I also like the jokes. There's a joke in the credits where it says, introducing Paul Rudd. Because, Paul Rudd, has been in movies for years, been in Friends, and been in, like, The Knocked Up, and has been in, like, like Ant-Man and all that stuff. But yeah, they just, like, as a joke, introducing Paul Rudd, just as a joke. And so it's like, so I thought that was funny. And also, like, the post-credit scene that, where they get to go to prom and everything. And then you see, like, that they're teasing Shredder for the second film, which I'm excited about. There are things I dislike about the movie. Like, I think Jackie Chan Splinter, I was really expecting to be more, because Jackie Chan's such a great actor and he's such a good martial arts expert. I would expect him to be more of like, like the Splinter from the 90s film where he's wise, he gives wise words. And instead he's played for more comedic laughs. Like, he's kind of like a crazy Splinter. Like, he's like, thinks that all he makes just jokes about, like, oh, they tried to milk you. And I just think that that right there was like, I just thought, like, come on, he's supposed to be serious, he's supposed to be, like, wise and everything. And so I thought that was, and so I thought that I didn't like that. And also, the mutants are just cameos, essentially. Like, the mutants are just in the movie to be cameos. Like, Bebop and Rocksteady are played by Seth Rogen and John Cena. Seth Rogen just plays Seth Rogen, because Seth Rogen does not know how to voice anybody but himself. And John Cena at least tries to be different. You could tell that that's not John Cena's voice, because, like, okay, he's actually trying to be different. But Seth Rogen's just voicing Seth Rogen, just like with Mario. In King Kong, he's just King Kong. And so, I mean, that's what I really just thought. Like, all the mutants in this movie are just cameos. Like, they're just like, hey, all these from the cartoon and from the comics and stuff, hey, well, here they are. And they're voiced by my friends, like Paul Rudd. And we have Maya Rudolph voicing this character. And we have Rose Byrne voicing this character. We have Post Malone voicing this character. And just all these other, Hannibal Burns voicing this character. And I'm just like, all these characters in this movie are voiced by, just famous people that are friends with Seth Rogen. And I'm just like, these have no recognition. Like, you could have literally put Bebop and Rocksteady in the movie, and then gave all the same lines to these characters. And it would have made more sense. And it would have been like, okay, it would have been less contained, it would have more. Instead, it just has like 18 characters, and like not half of them only have dialogue. And I'm just like, why do we need these characters? Like, you're just using it for cameo galore. That's all it is, just fan service. And I feel like if we would they would get that part to Bebop and Rocksteady, it would have made more sense, and I think that would have been much better. But that was my only complaint, really, with those two things. And I really like this movie. It's a fun movie. I really enjoy it. I'm definitely going to buy it once it hits 4K. If I had to give this movie a grade, I would give it an A-.
Enough talk! I dream about fighting every night!
You've got a rage problem, right?
It's not a problem!